To the Caribbean now, where Cubans are observing 9 days of official mourning to mark the death of their revolutionary leader Fidel Castro. Later this week, foreign dignitaries will be part of a memorial service in Havana, but even inside Cuba, many are celebrating Castro's demise. As Anne Barker reports.
Every Sunday for 13 years, a group of women dressed in white and carrying gladiolas have staged a protest in the Cuban capital, Havana. Known as the Ladies in White, they're the wives, sisters and friends of about 75 dissidents who were jailed in 2003 as part of a crackdown by Cuba's communist regime. Those activists were later released, but the women still protest every week to demand greater political freedoms and the release of other dissidents. Only now, with the death of Fidel Castro, have the women suspended the protest to avoid creating tensions. We've decided, as fighters of human rights groups, to respect the pain which we don't share, says its leader, Berta Sola. We'll respect and have taken a recess on a national level, wherever the ladies in white are, to not take to the streets today to avoid provoking the government. Berta Sola says the women will halt all activities during the national mourning period. But Fidel Castro's death, she says, will do little to change the human rights situation in Cuba. Now that Fidel Castro is not on the earth, it doesn't mean we're going to start a new era, she says. We're going to continue with another dictator, Raul Castro, who'll do the same thing Fidel did. Those two did the same things together. And so in Cuba, the only thing that will change in this new stage is it'll be without the physical presence of Fidel Castro. Exiled members of the Ladies in White have joined calls for a unified democracy protest in Florida this week, where many Cuban exiles live. All weekend there have been upbeat celebrations in Florida at the news of Fidel Castro's demise. We're here to celebrate not the death of a person, because we're all Christians, but instead to celebrate the death of a monster, says one woman. Personally, when I learned of his death, I was overwhelmed with joy because I said to myself, I survived him. Inside Cuba, there's a sombre mood. Flags are at half-mast as the country observes a 9-day period of mourning. Condolence books will be open in Havana's Revolution Square, where Castro gave many of his famous marathon speeches. A memorial service is scheduled there later this week, with dozens of heads of state and foreign dignitaries due to attend. Many Cubans are still coming to terms with his death. Lazaro Alonso, a taxi driver, says Fidel Castro's death won't change Cuba's path. It's a very difficult idea to accept, but life imposes its own truth, he says. We continue to work hard, continuing forward. Nothing will detain the process, and we're very conscious that, yes, there'll be great moments that will come for this country. But even in death, Fidel Castro remains a divisive figure. His brother Raul, who replaced him as president, signed the agreement to end decades of hostility with the US and re-establish diplomatic ties. Fidel Castro gave only lukewarm support for the deal, and US President-elect Donald Trump had pledged to reverse Barack Obama's efforts to normalize relations. One Cuban-American, Mayra Miro in Miami, supports a renewed isolationist stance. We hope Trump won't make the relations towards unity as the current President Obama, when there was no type of change in Cuba's system. There are still political prisoners in jail. There was no change in that. The oppression is still being maintained. President Obama didn't do anything for liberty in Cuba, which won't happen as long as communism exists there. But others, such as Wilbert Perez, see Donald Trump as the solution to Cuba's woes. Trump has to do what the Cubans want, give liberty to the Cubans, get the Castros out of there, taking things that aren't theirs. Cuba needs to be free, and Trump is the one that's going to help us. Long live Trump. He's gone. Fidel Castro was cremated on Saturday, and his ashes will be interned at Santiago in Cuba's east next weekend.
Anne Barker with that report.